So, value of grass, well, yes, it has been challenging for the last month or so. Conditions have been difficult when we've been trying to graze down and hit residuals, but there still is a value in grass certainly out there at the moment. It is our cheapest form of feed, and probably, hopefully, what you'll get the same message coming through from Sinclair, from Conrad and myself today. The more we can make better use of grass in terms of either grazed grass or ensiled forage, the better off we will be. Very simply, we know there is a strong economic relationship between how much grass we use and profitability on farm. That really comes through if you look at our milk from forage figures over the last 16 years from CAFRE. If we look at all farms over the period 2000 to 2016, and we look at the bottom 25% of farms ranked on milk from forage, and we look at the top 25% of milk from forage, what you can see initially is that though there's very little difference in cow yield per se, difference in milk from forage per cow is very, very different indeed. We've got a difference of about 2,500 litres in terms of milk from forage per cow. And those farms that had were in the top 25% of milk from forage had a higher net profit of about £264 per cow than the bottom 25% of farms. So getting more from our grass, be it either grazed or ensiled, definitely worth money in your pocket. On those farms, what it worked out was about every additional 1,000 litres that we've seen from forage in those farms was associated with about an extra 10 grand of profit every year for 100 cows. So obviously there's a good financial value there to making the most of grass. So really, how do we go about doing that? Well, it's all about growing high yields of good quality grass, and that's one of the things that we've been trying to monitor through our grass check project that we've been doing at AFBI in conjunction with CAFRE over the last couple of years. And this year, what we've seen is, so far the season, up until July, we were doing relatively well. The east of the province did lose about a tonne of dry matter per hectare back in May because of those dry conditions. But all in all, we were averaging growth rates of about 53 kilograms of dry matter per hectare per day. And grass quality was sitting in at about 11.6 on average ME across the season. So good quality stuff that was there. And when we went out on farm, and this year we were monitoring grass growth levels on 12 commercial farms across Northern Ireland, Ian of which is one of them, we have noticed that again, we've had a very good start to the season, right the way through from March to July. These 12 farms are located at different locations all across the province. They're on a range of different systems. We've got guys on SDA land right the way through to lowland. We've got farms that are spring block calving to all year round house zero grazing. So we've got a whole spectrum of systems, yield levels, management styles there incorporated. But the one thing that's common right the way across all farms, we can grow high levels of good quality grass. These are 12 farms here from March through to July. On average, they grew 9.5 tonne of dry matter per hectare during that time period. At that stage, they're all on track to do over 12 tonne of dry matter per hectare. If we bear that in mind, our average current farm production on Northern Ireland, we're estimating about 7.5 tonnes of dry matter grown and utilised. So good management, we can grow high volumes of grass. As I said, Ian is one of the farms on the Grass Check project, and we're standing in front of his cows today. I just wanted to say a little bit about his farm here. So he's got a 13.7 hectare grazing platform. Hopefully Ian talked a little bit about it when he was down at the house. But 13.7 hectare grazing platform runs mostly up this lane and down into some of the fields in there behind us. And so far to date, he's doing reasonably well, growing a yield of just short of 10 tonnes in 2017. Hopefully we'll see him, if conditions improve, get out there, put on an extra tonne of dry matter onto that as well. Growth rates on the farm at the moment have come down slightly, averaging 49.2 kilograms of dry matter per hectare per day. Pretty typical of what we would expect to see at this time of year as day lengths start to shorten. Average farm cover is sitting a little bit higher probably than like to be at the minute, but not too far away, in around 2,350. And the rotation length, he's on his second to last rotation, so he's widened that out to 30 days and is about halfway through that second to last rotation. Now, grazing in this field at the minute, we're going to talk about grass utilisation in a little bit in a minute, but anybody take a bit of a ballpark guess for me as to what covers are in this field at the minute? Any bids from the floor? 3-3. Anybody else? Higher? Lower?
Higher.
Higher. Yeah, you're right. This is actually on the board behind me. This here paddock here, plate metered yesterday about 3,700, so it's heavier than probably what he would like to be coming into. There was quite a lot of dung patches and stuff in this. Between the dung patches, actually, it's not as heavy, but just with that, and not probably getting it grazed out just quite as tightly as anticipated the last time we're into slightly heavier covers. Take a look at the next paddock as you go through. That plate metered yesterday in about 3.1, 3.150. So really that's a nice cover which we should be targeting going into. Certainly, obviously measuring grass is a key component, and getting our pre and post grazing covers is absolutely vital to actually making more from grass. Research that we've done at Affby Hillsborough over the years has really looking at different levels of stocking rates, different levels of grass utilisation. I've always come back to say, actually, if we can hit those covers nail on the head, 3,000 to 3.3 as our target entry cover, if we can come out at 16 to 1,800, that's where we can get maximum value. Doing that gives us higher intakes of good quality pasture. We increase the milk yield that we can produce per hectare of land. We get a reduction in herbage wastage. If you can take post-grazing covers from just over 2,000 down to in between that 16 to 1,800, you can increase grass utilisation by 20%. So there's a big gain to be had there. Higher quality regrowth, doing that, taking it from 2,000 down to sort of 17, 1,800, you get an extra 0.2 of an ME in the quality of the grass that you're grazing. That's worth half a litre a day if we can get that quality grass into them. We get a shorter regrowth interval, and we all know that nitrogen utilisation is more responsive or better in those younger swards. So certainly that is a key element to doing it. Now just give me a show of hands, who's actually out measuring grass on a weekly basis at the minute, or doing it throughout the year? Okay, one or two hopefully at the back there. I see a few stray hands going up. What I would say is these 12 farms here that are in our grass check project are all measuring grass on a weekly basis, and for Ian it's been a really important component of this farm since he's gone into dairying. What he has done here is he's earmarked paddocks for reseeding this year, and how he has done that is by measuring grass and identifying which are the poorest performing paddocks. Down at the bottom end of the farm there was a field that grew 5 tonne of dry matter per hectare last year, didn't perform, it's reseeded, it's doing much better now this year. So if you're not having that constant measurement, obviously you can't get a really good handle on what you're growing. But I suppose as a bit of a quick tip for those of you that aren't plate metering on a regular basis, one of the things that we can look at is obviously grazing at the right stage of leaf. How many leaves, live leaves, does a grass plant have? Any idea? 4, 5, 3, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. Grass plant will only sustain 3 live leaves at any one time. So for those of you, particularly you guys sitting down here, have a rummage through the sward. See if you can pick up a grass plant right at the base of the sward and see if you can count how many leaves on it. Really, it's a really quick, simple way of actually figuring out, am I grazing at the right cover or am I grazing too high? I've got a couple here. So really what we want to be seeing is that we have got, let's see if we take that one up, grazing at 3 live leaves. So this here plant here is pretty much at a reasonably good stage of growing. We see our first leaf that's emerged there, see our second leaf coming out the back, and our third leaf is popping up through the middle here. So that there plant there, 3 live leaves, good stage for growing. What we can tend to see then is if we have got plants that are getting too long for grazing, we will tend to see the fourth leaf that you can see at the base of this sward here, and we've got another tiller coming out, but this fourth leaf here starting to die away. What happens when that fourth leaf dies away? It will just die at the base of the sward, and your post-grazing sward horizon will rise and rise, and you'll get that dead material which you can see at some of the base of this sward. So if you're not plate metering at the minute, really good way of knowing, am I grazing at the right level? And when you do graze down, you should really be taking all of that off and we're left with that at the bases. So that's obviously a key component of actually getting more from our grass. But obviously we're going into the autumn period now, and conditions have been pretty challenging. How many people are still grazing at the minute? Are most people here still grazing? Nobody wants to admit to one or two. Most people in cows housed at the moment? Give me a hands up if you've got cows housed. Yeah, a few people in the group. It has been really challenging conditions, and the big thing I would say to you at the moment is that we're not quite at the end of the season yet. There is still a value of grass. If you look at our grass check results over the years when we're analysing grass quality, in September, October, we're still seeing 11.5 ME grass quality coming through, 11.2 to 11.5. So there is certainly grass quality there. Some of our grass check farmers at the minute are achieving 17 to 18 litres per cow per day, high solids, and they are feeding 3 kilograms of meal and still getting maintenance, plus around 12 litres off grass at the minute. So there is a value in grass. The biggest challenge for us at the minute is obviously dry matter contents and soil conditions. But if you have got an opportunity to get out, there is a value in grass there. How do we actually go about doing that? Well, it's about being as flexible as possible, looking at our infrastructure, our network of laneways and tracks, and looking at multiple entrance points into fields. Consider where you can bring cows in and out to avoid as little amount of damage as possible. We can also work with short grazing bouts in the autumn period. 3 hours, we can get about 4 or 5 kilograms of dry matter off grass into dairy cows. So if cows go out with an appetite for their diet, we certainly can get that in. For anybody that's feeding silage at the minute, that's certainly a big help, because when we actually turned, in previous studies at AFBI, when we turned out autumn and spring calving cows out in the autumn period, and we grazed them for 3 hours a day, we found that when we compared those with cows that stayed in the house, we saved about 4 kilograms of silage so per head per day. And alongside that, we got a 2 litre increase in milk yield per cow. When you add all that up, it's worth about an extra, and you save on your housing costs, is worth about an extra £1.55 per cow per day if you can keep cows out of grass for every extra week that you are out at grass in the autumn period. So really, we've still got a long way to go to the end of the season. It's definitely worthwhile reviewing what paddocks are like, looking at access points and trying to get out and be flexible, be prepared to get cows out again and get cows out and grazing. As well, we need to start thinking now about setting up for spring. So certainly we are just about to enter into the last rotation. Some of the farmers here will be entering into the last rotation in the next couple of weeks. Some of you guys in wetter land may have already started the last rotation. So we need to think about our rotation plan. The biggest things for that last rotation is hitting covers, or hitting your right residual, and getting your wedge set up for next season. Try and graze your driest fields first so you can get out early to those in spring, and where possible try and hit residuals now so we've got a good quality grass coming through in the spring period. So really, that's all from me today. Just a quick sum up. Obviously there's huge value in grass. Conrad's the next stop you're going to talk about winter feeding there and getting more from winter feeding. But we know that we can grow high quality levels of grass on our farms here in Northern Ireland. Certainly what we've seen from our grass check project, and do look at every opportunity to get cows back out again in the next couple of weeks to make some of those economic savings that we can get from using autumn grass.